Misanthropy. The general hatred, dislike, distrust, or contempt of the human species, human behavior, or human nature. I am a misanthrope. When I share this with someone, the very first question I get asked is, "Do you hate me?" This is a very natural response for a human. As social animals, we are very concerned with how we are perceived and whether we are accepted by other members of society, despite the fact that the definition of the word is not a hatred, dislike, distrust, or contempt for Steve. This concern has permitted humans to survive and prosper in groups called tribes, defending each other from predators and creating a safe space for the procreation and nurture of future generations. But this trait does not have an off switch. A human will be seeking the constant acceptance of everyone, not just the one or two individuals within the tribe. It's an instinct that can leave them exposed to the predatory practices of other humans or tribes, making them highly susceptible to manipulation. This trait that was meant to protect and preserve us has become so outdated that it's now harmful to our mental and sometimes physical health in the modern world. Give Auntie a kiss. You don't want to make her cry, do you? If you don't get good grades in school, then you have no place in this house. Come on, baby, you don't want to be a virgin forever, do you? It will be fun. You need to study hard and go to university so you don't end up a homeless bum. And my personal favorite, your work performance review meets expectations, which means you will get a 5% salary increase out of the 10 maximum. Let's try to aim higher next time. For the team. All of these phrases are designed to do one thing: mold you into what's deemed acceptable and kill off any quirks that may go against the status quo. Most of the time this is a good thing. Murder is still illegal after all, and frowned upon, I'm told. But a lot of the time, this instinct is abused to, say, get more work out of an individual for no extra pay, because he's taking one for the team, and a true professional that gets the job done in record time. And the worst thing about it? In order to succeed in today's environment, you have to teach yourself to identify these triggers, analyze objectively why the instinct was triggered, and logically plot your next move based on rational thinking in order to not fall prey to outside influence. Congratulations, you are now less susceptible to manipulation. You have unlocked stress and paranoia. Misanthropy. Noun. A dislike of humankind. I am a misanthrope. And in this video, I'll probably convince you that you are one too. Or maybe you already are one and are just in it from the confirmation bias. I guess we'll see. After the Second World War, during the trial of the Nazi officers serving under Hitler, a popular defense for the atrocities committed was, "I was just following orders." The idea being that the officers were only doing as their leader instructed them to, regardless of their belief or disapproval of said orders. This is called the Nuremberg defense, or superior orders, and attempting this defense during the Nuremberg trials could lessen a punishment's severity, since the blame is not entirely on the defendant. But it would not escape punishment since the defendant is still responsible of their own actions. The Milgram experiment, conducted in 1961, demonstrated that humans will be more willing to take actions that are deemed cruel or that they disagree with if the action is requested of them by a person in a perceived position of authority. It was also found that a very high proportion of subjects would fully obey all instructions given, albeit reluctantly. This particular trait is key to our functioning as a modern society. It enabled us to be empathetic as individuals, but sociopaths as groups. I'm sorry we have to let you go. You are an excellent worker, but the company is going through a restructure and I don't have a choice. We have to keep growing our yearly revenue despite the high turnover and the long hours. Our shareholders demand it. But Dad said it's okay to have another cookie. It is my constitutional right to own firearms in order to defend myself.
This one nation conservative government has been given a powerful new mandate to get Brexit done.
One of the most impressive achievements in my opinion is that, as a society, we've managed to explain the mass murder of others as defending our country, or liberating a country of terrorists. Footnote: while you might think that I'm referring specifically to past relations between NATO and Middle Eastern countries, Russia are using the same exact excuse to invade Ukraine. But then there's something fishy about these statements, isn't there? Dad said it's okay to have another cookie, but why would Dad just spontaneously say that?
I hereby decree to all the creatures of the land, unprompted by anyone or anything, that Tara is hereby allowed to have another cookie.
Yay! What could have possibly possessed Dad to just say those things? On the 23rd of June 2016, the people of the United Kingdom went to the polls and casted their vote on the following text. Should the United Kingdom remain a member of the European Union or leave the European Union? In short terms, the vote asked, do you want Brexit? The more savvy individuals asked, what does leaving the European Union actually mean? Are we staying in the European Economic Area or not? Are we keeping the Erasmus program? Are we completely closing our borders to the EU? Are we dropping all the shared science research projects? Are we cancelling freedom of movement? What does Brexit actually mean?
Brexit means Brexit. Brexit means Brexit. Brexit means Brexit.
Brexit means Brexit.
Brexit means Brexit.
Brexit means Brexit.
Means Brexit.
Means Brexit.
Means Brexit.
Means Brexit. Means Brexit.
Means Brexit.
Means Brexit.
Means Brexit.
Brexit. Brexit.
Brexit.
Brexit. Brexit.
Is that it?
We must move on. Brexit means Brexit.
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 Brexit. Brexit.
Brexit.
Brexit.
Brexit.
Brexit.
Brexit.
Brexit.
Brexit means breakfast.
Brexit. Breakfast. Breakfast. Brexit. Brexit. Breakfast.
So in closing, I'd simply say this.
What about second breakfast?
Breakfast.
Brexit meant whatever you want it to be. No immigrants, prosperity, cheap food, cheap pints, no red tape. Brexit was the answer to all of it. So people voted for Brexit because Brexit meant Brexit. It was the one-stop shop to fix all the country's problems regardless of what they were. And because Brexit meant Brexit, politicians have now manufactured permission from someone in a position of authority, the people, to deliver Brexit, which in reality meant
children as young as 11 are joining gangs to make money. For some, it's to help put food on the table while their parents turn a blind eye.
Because another thing to point out, of course, is that if this is the fault of the French, then we haven't taken back control. So it's lose-lose for people like Jacob Rees-Mogg who continue to lie to you. If we've taken back control, then we can fix this problem in Dover. If we haven't taken back control, then only the French can fix this problem in Dover. And Liz Truss gets a front-page newspaper article saying, when I'm Prime Minister, I will tell the French to sort it. That's a bit like me saying, when I'm Prime Minister, I will fly to the moon and back using the power of my own backside. It's just not possible. The French government are not going to...
This was a magnificent example of a whole population giving a blank check to a corrupt government to take whatever action they want that was directly against the interest of the vast majority of said population. And if you think this is an isolated incident, the next section is going to sadden you deeply. Misanthropy. The natural allergic reaction had by an intelligent, thinking person when confronted by a world of tribalized, reactionary proto-humans. A condition characterized by a need of solitude and skepticism about the nobility of one's fellows, hatred and mistrust of man and womankind, the state of being misanthropic. Let's call back to our original subject a little. The second thing I get asked after people confirm that I don't specifically hate their guts is, so do you not like anyone? You hate everyone equally? I love my wife to bits. I love my parents in small supervised doses. I love my friends, they are all great people that I'm really happy and lucky to have in my life. They are not the target of my hatred, as they individually or even collectively haven't wronged me or attempted to harm me in any way. The human species and its attributes as a species is the target of my dislike, distrust, and contempt. The previous section on Brexit highlighted a small part of that. Let's get into something more meaty. Religion. "85% of the people in the world identify with a religion. 41% Christians, 25% Muslims, 15% Hindu, 5% Buddhists, and 8.2% other. Only 15% of the people on the planet do not believe that there is a higher power. Now, getting purpose through divinity is not inherently a bad thing. Humans are, by nature, a social species. They need common goals around which to gather and support each other. Their religious belief is one such goal. Religions create community and usually teach kindness, forgiveness, and generosity. These communities usually help their weakest and support them in their time of need. They are wonderful things. But you do not reach 85% of the species by being kind and spreading love. These don't get built by helping your neighbor. Vatican City does not thrive on agriculture or technological industries. Golden statues and thrones are not made by feeding the poor and helping the ones in need. There's nothing wrong with faith. There's nothing wrong with the Bible. There's nothing wrong with Jesus. But it's wrong to offer the choice of God or death. We've already established that humans are significantly more willing to commit atrocities when they get permission from an authority figure. Well, imagine what happens when you get permission from the most authoritative of authoritative figures, God himself. Everything you say, everything you do, every decision you make is now considered righteous, and nobody has the right or even the possibility to question you. You are unstoppable. But even with that holy right, you cannot escape death. Even with your holy command, you do not have infinite reach. You are forced to create a hierarchy and bless others to deliver your message in your and your God's name. But those others are still not enough. So then, they name others under them to deliver your message and their message in yours, theirs, and God's name. And it grows and it expands until it dominates as much as it can of the human mind. 85% of the human population doing what is asked of them by their flavor of invisible boogeymen in the sky, even if they don't agree with it. And some of the things that they have done and still do because the invisible men tell them it's good and righteous will make you sick. But none of this applies to you, right? You're well-balanced, logical, rational, or maybe some of it does, but you're a good person. You give to charity occasionally, you exercise occasionally, you call your mom and tell her you love her. Hell, you even volunteer at a soup kitchen from time to time. Or maybe you constantly argue with those that vote with the wrong party, buy from the wrong company, watch the wrong TV shows. But darn it, you do your best. You're good. It's not your fault the world is f***ed up, it's everyone else that needs to pick up the slack as much as you do. Hell, you even made a YouTube video to show people all the different ways in which their biology and psychology is working against them. Well, you're right. At least partially. You're doing your best. You are making things better for yourself and others. A few others. But your opponents, the ones making things worse, are doing so much more than you are. You doing your best is significantly less than bad people doing their worst, because you are fighting in a very unfair playing field where you are at a massive disadvantage. You have morals, your opponents do not, and that is a massive flaw for you. When you have a moral system, a conscience, a line you won't cross, you inherently have a handicap in any type of fight. I'm sure you don't see it that way from a subjective point of view. How can it be a handicap to not want to publicly shame your opponent for their disability, for example? The individuals that want power and end up in positions of power will use your moral code against you. You won't fire a pregnant woman? They will. You won't cook the books to make company numbers look better? Not a problem. You won't raise lockdown restrictions because it will murder tens of thousands in order to save the economy? Well, so the obvious solution is to get on your opponent's level. Cancel your morals, become ruthless, kill everything in your path just to get at the top and then fix it from there. The ends justify the means, right? Congratulations, you have just become the very thing you resent. You think your opponent started out like this? Think they came out of the womb ripping and tearing like the Doomslayer just to assert dominance? They were once just like you, wanting to change the world, wanting to make things better. Maybe their motives weren't 100% pure, maybe they were just in it for the money or the fame, but I promise you they didn't go into this thinking, I'm gonna oppress every other person in my path in order to get what I want. That's not human nature. But when the ends justify the means, you get desensitized. You fire a pregnant woman? She shouldn't have gotten pregnant. The guy you're competing for the same position needs it more? Well, he should fight harder then. The people didn't want to be poor? Well, then why did they vote for my party's lies? Every justified means decision you have to take in order to reach your goal erodes your morals further. So much that by the time you're on top, a very dark thought takes over you. A sinister thought. A horrible thought.
I'm here because I worked hard, because I deserve it. And if everyone else wants what I have, then they should work for it too.
Congratulations. You have become the very thing you set out to destroy. You no longer want to help anyone. You no longer see human interaction as anything other than interest-based transactions. Your politeness is fake. Your words are fake. You are fake. This is an interview with Jeff Bezos in the very early beginnings of Amazon's existence.
At one point on Friday, Amazon.com's total stock market value surged past $30 billion, making it worth more than a major industrial company like Texaco. That didn't blow your mind when you read it?
Well, I think if you're asking for sort of an emotional response, I think it's very humbling, and it creates a sense of responsibility.
According to my calculations, you yourself are worth somewhere in the vicinity of $9 or $10 billion today. I only say that because I've got a follow-up question.
Okay.
What's with the Honda?
This is a perfectly good car.
And this is him last year during the Blue Origin saga.
I want to thank every Amazon employee and every Amazon customer, because you guys paid for all of this. So...
Yeah, some people are saying, Michael, and I don't know if you feel the same way or if you're seeing the same thing, that he's a bit tone deaf here, because a lot of Amazon employees in the United States rely on food stamps to get by. The company doesn't pay enough taxes, all the while Jeff Bezos has shipped himself off to space. Is there that kind of reaction that you're seeing, or is it a bit overblown in that sense?
Think it won't happen to you? Think you're stronger than everyone else? Think you're smarter than everyone else before you? Sounds like you're a prime candidate to think that you deserve what you've achieved. And if you don't have the mindset outlined, you won't even try to fight the system. Not really. You will make a nice life for yourself living with the morals you have, in relative comfort with your soul intact, but in constant fear that at some point one of these horrible, justified means people with a mandate from God will think that destroying what you have is a necessity in their ascension. So, ultimately, you have a choice. A choice everyone makes every day with every action they take. Be a good person and live in fear, or become inhuman and join the elite. Misanthropy. Noun. The fact or quality of not liking other people. I am a misanthrope, because everyone can be evil. We've talked at length about why humans are horrible, but there are some things that humans do which are extremely cool. One of those things is that they obsess about recording history. And from these recordings, we know that every empire, every tyrant, every horrible dynasty ends. How? What does Marie Antoinette, the USSR, and the formation of the United States have in common? People got mad. Really mad. A violent revolution manifests when a large group of people are oppressed so hard and for so long that they all suspend their morals en masse and fix the problem. Revolutions are one of the most horrific displays of violence and carnage, the means that propel a people into a brighter future, the ends. They are effective, but they are flawed. The January 6, 2022 insurrection on the US Capitol was a failed revolution. The revolted considered themselves oppressed by the liberal agenda and suspended their morals in order to achieve their goals. Was this the right thing to do? Depending on your political alignment, you will have different answers. But let me help you with that. No, it wasn't the right thing to do. It never is. Because they suspended their morals, they have fallen into the trap of ends justify means. And what do revolutions do once the removal of a system is achieved through countless death and destruction? Why, they replace it with a slightly different system that's just as susceptible to corruption as the previous one. Of course. The system works great at first, as the people in power don't believe that they are in those positions due to their own cunning and efforts, but due to the efforts of everyone, and that's an improvement. But those people do die eventually, because they are just people. In order to replace them, new individuals have had to climb and fight for the ranks of the system in order to get on top. You see where this is going. As the infighting goes on to be top dog, morals get eroded, horrible means get justified, and we're back in a horrible oppressive system. Feel free to dress it as communism, socialism, capitalism, feudalism. As long as there's a top position or positions to achieve, corruption will eventually take hold. Misanthropy. The general hatred, dislike, distrust, or contempt of the human species, human behavior, or human nature. I am a misanthrope, and I am wrong. I'm aware that I've painted a very grim picture, because it is a very grim picture. My intention was to show you, the viewer, how I see things, and perhaps connect with you on a deeper level, if you see things the same. I hope I did. I certainly made me feel better spilling all of this from my head and into the void, but I don't think I'm right. Not entirely anyway. Are you familiar with the swimmer's body fallacy? Basically, it's a belief that if you swim for long enough, you will develop a swimmer's body. When in reality, swimmers look the way they do because they already have that body type, and it allows them to be very good swimmers, thus becoming swimmers. Normal people, the majority of people, do not want power at any cost. Power does corrupt, and it's said that absolute power corrupts absolutely. But if all people were drawn to power and susceptible to corruption, why has civilization survived and thrived for thousands of years? Every time a top-down system resets, with every revolution, something gets better. The workday gets limited to 8 hours. Saturdays become off. Child labor gets abolished. Women obtain the right to vote. The cycle seems to be that we make 20 steps forward with a new system and leadership, or 1-2 steps forward when it's a targeted issue in the current system, and then slowly start regressing over time with each new leader until the system gets reset again. The problem is not the people themselves. The problem is that we create the opportunity for a rat race. Every new governing model has come under the format of one leader or group of leaders at the top with a branching hierarchy all the way down to the regular individual. A perfect environment to allow those without morals to thrive over those that have them in the world's most epic race to the bottom, until there are no more morals left to even speak of. It's not communism, socialism, feudalism, democracy, Christianity, Islam. They are all flavors of the same top-down governing model. The true solution is to remove the power structure altogether. You can't compete in a power struggle if there's no competition to speak of. Throughout history, this has been impossible to achieve since no one individual could have a global reach by themselves to promote their ideas and concerns. You needed a hierarchy of individuals to make sure that your message is spread far and wide, and you needed the means to reward those individuals for their loyalty and obedience. But that's no longer the case. I am sharing with you my thoughts and opinions through just the technological layer between us. I do not have to come to where you are and share my ideas, nor did I have to send anyone else on my behalf to do so. And you in turn can instantly tell me with just a few keystrokes your own opinions and ideas about any subject matter you like. Communication is no longer a barrier. We no longer need representatives to make our thoughts heard. We can just do it ourselves. The solution to this top-down leadership model has started materializing, and over time it will slowly take shape and replace all of its predecessors. Technology will slowly emerge to replace the different parts of government and leadership. It won't be an easy transition, it probably won't be a pleasant one, and it certainly won't be a peaceful one. If you want to get an idea of how difficult a change this will be, technology-based non-government backed money was invented in 2009. Since its inception, it has been declared dead, at the time of writing, a total of 461 times. Oh god, he's talking about Bitcoin again. But despite all the criticism, doubts, government restrictions and bans, extremely high power consumption, inadequate performance, technological limitations, and occasional legal controversies, adoption is still increasing. In Bitcoin, you, the homeless guy down the street, me, Elon Musk, and Joe Biden have exactly the same amount of rights and decision power over what happens. Your power or status outside the system counts for nothing. The technology literally doesn't care. So when someone will eventually come along and unleash on the world a means by which to run society in an equal, transparent, and fair way, that doesn't care about any other external influence and cannot be corrupted, what do you think is going to happen? No, seriously, what do you think? Use the box down below, I'm really curious. But until such a time, let's recap my ramblings. We are obsessed to please others in order to get their acceptance and be part of the group. And we will do whatever they tell us in spite of our better judgment if they have authority, as we're just following orders. If they don't give us permission to do the thing we want to do, we'll trick them into giving us that permission. Or, better still, we will invent a being so powerful and so authoritative that nobody could ever dispute the divine right we now have. And then, we will have manufactured permission and given ourselves power to the point where we've tricked ourselves into thinking we alone deserve said power and nobody else. Our morals will be eroded and our corruption will become so deep until the people we've oppressed have decided that they will also suspend their morals just to get rid of us. And that's why, dear viewer, I am a misanthrope. And I really hope I won't be one. One day.